So just tell me a little bit about, you mentioned a little on your walk. You began as a typist, you rose your way up through the ranks of the county. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I started out as a junior clerk typist and worked my way up through the district attorney's office to become a deputy district attorney, a prosecutor, handling murders, rapes, robberies, and child molest. And then was appointed to the bench and also ran for election to the bench, both at the municipal court and then superior court level. And then served on the bench for about 12 years and became the district attorney elected in 2002 and have been re-elected 2 more times.
So a lot of people have said you have one of the most powerful positions in the county right now. Why would you want to leave that? I mean, you've run, you've been re-elected. It seems like your position's pretty secure. Why would you want to give that up and try to be mayor?
I want to be mayor of San Diego to make San Diego the best place for business here in California. And I'm doing it not for the power, but for the public service.
At the same time, you don't have to give up your position as DA, is that right?
That's right.
Okay. Does that, do anything to your motivation? You know that you have that, as a fallback if this doesn't pan out, or is that not a consideration?
I'm running for mayor of San Diego because I love San Diego and I want to give back to San Diego. And I think with the skills that I've learned as the district attorney for the past 9 years as a chief executive, I'm the only one in the race that has managed a budget of $140 million, 1,000 employees, and 3 labor organizations. I think it's that kind of experience that matters, particularly now in San Diego.
Because the other people you're running against haven't run organizations like that.
None of the other candidates have ever run a large government organization and have had to make tough decisions every day and face the public and be held accountable for those decisions. The buck stops with me on the Chelsea King case, but on all 41,000 cases we handle.
How would you envision interacting with the city council? I mean, I imagine that might be a little bit different because these are people who aren't necessarily your subordinates. They're sort of more like your colleagues, and that they can, it could be difficult at times.
Well, my whole career has been about collaboration and consensus building. And I've worked with public officials and elected officials as a judge, as the DA, and as a prosecutor. And I think I am better positioned to do that because I have relationships with those in Sacramento, with those in the federal, in Washington in the federal legislature, as well as across the border with those in Mexico. So working with the city council is really something I look forward to because I know each and every one of them. I've worked already with them, and my approach to life is to find the things that unite us and not focus on the things that divide us. And I think together we've already done great things. We could do even more great things.
What are some of your visions and your priorities for San Diego?
I want to make San Diego the best place to do business in California. I want to bring jobs here. I want to make sure that the city of San Diego is fiscally managed well. We are on the way, but there's a long way to go. And one of the things I did as the district attorney is take over a troubled organization and make it work for the people, a government organization that really makes the taxpayers proud, and I want to do that with the city of San Diego as well. So we need to focus on reorganizing the city and fixing our infrastructure. That means potholes, and potholes. And we also need to fix our educational system. I've presented a plan, a bold plan, to change the way we do business at San Diego Unified. We can't afford to have a school system that's on the brink of insolvency or to be taken over by the state of California. It impacts our values of our homes. It impacts the ability to draw businesses to San Diego, and it makes our best teachers leave and go elsewhere.
People have said, though, that the mayor has so much to do and you don't have any direct control over the school district. Why are you taking time to focus on that?
Education is at the core of everything we do in San Diego. And I have seen it as the district attorney. If you don't invest in your education system early on, we pay for it in many ways at the other end. And by virtue of the city charter, we do have the right to pick how we choose our members of the board of San Diego Unified. And my proposal is a bold proposal to add 4 additional members to the board to make sure we have people who are experts in the area of education and finance. It also proposes to have an independent financial review board to make sure the decisions are being made right, and to propose legislation in Sacramento which will help us with funding formulas and to come of age to the 21st century with how we educate our kids and what opportunities we provide to them.
You know, doing a little research on you and reading some articles, you're often depicted as someone who's very powerful. Some people say they're not a person that they don't want to cross you. But I've noticed, like, in the election, you seem to have, you know, you got off to a bit of a slower start. I mean, and that just those seem at odds with each other. Are you trying to, like, downplay some aspect of your personality, or does that cross your mind? What do you think about those?
I think what people will see in this election is that I am an authentic person. I'm focused and I'm disciplined, as I am in the district attorney's position. I have to make tough decisions, and decisions that people don't always either understand the full picture or understand, you know, all the information that I have. And so I gather the information and make sure that I balance everything, and then make my decisions based on what's in the best interest of the city of San Diego.
Along those lines, you received some criticism for not going after the alleged killer of Diana Gonzalez, who was just captured in Mexico yesterday. What are your thoughts on his capture and your response to those criticisms?
We have been diligent all along in terms of, I am known for my diligence in domestic violence. I was a domestic violence judge for a year, creating a program that was modeled around the state and that reduced recidivism significantly. And I have been honored many times by the Domestic Violence Council and community. So our office, though, is charged with a duty, and that duty is to not file criminal cases unless we can prove them beyond a reasonable doubt. And where we can't, again, the buck stops with me, and our office, our attorneys make those decisions based on the information that they have, the evidence they have at hand. And in this case, we have diligently pursued Mr. Perez since the murder, and I am happy that he has been arrested in Mexico. We have been following him for some time, and we will hold him accountable.
And so you're satisfied with the way your office handled that case?
Well, when somebody dies, nobody is satisfied. The office handled the case appropriately. We have, in retrospect, reviewed some of the things and created a committee that deals with high-risk kinds of situations, a high-risk team, to look at different ways to handle things, and because there are certain kinds of cases that need more resources, and we have implemented that since this case, and I think that's a very positive aspect.
So we know, of course, that you deal with law enforcement, legal issues, and you've talked a little bit about your ability to run a big organization. Do you think, though, that you're equipped to deal with some of the more mundane issues of running a city that you might not have come across in your current position?
Well, I deal with all aspects of work, including graffiti, gangs, all of those things that intersect with the city. But dealing with those issues, the best thing that a leader can do is pick a good team and to get information from the experts. And one of the aspects that I have done as I've worked on the campaign is meet with experts in various areas to gain information on different topics. But I look forward to every issue. That's been one of the most exciting parts of the campaign, is learning about issues that I've only scratched the surface with in the past, but are now very much more involved in.
Some people have been surprised because they said your fundraising was a little bit slower than they had anticipated. Does that worry you, or do you see that picking up?
I don't think our fundraising has been slow at all. We started fundraising from June 5th, which was the time that you were legally allowed to do so. Other candidates have been running for several years, and we have raised and met our goals and continue to meet our goals. When all you need is enough money when you have the experience, I think, to communicate with the voters. And I'm very pleased and very humbled by the support that we've received.
Are you prepared to deal with you've dealt with unions before. Going into the city, it's kind of a contentious relationship right now, especially with this pension plan that's on the ballot. Are you prepared to take over and handle employees that might not necessarily be very happy to be working at the city at this point in time?
Well, one of the reasons why I didn't ask for, nor would I accept endorsements from any of the municipal labor unions was because I will have to sit across the table and negotiate with them. But I am a consensus builder and a collaborator. Again, I think sitting across the table from those who have dedicated their lives to public service will look for the things that can unite us and disagree on the things that divide us. And I look forward to working with them because I think that the employees of the City of San Diego have been great, and they need to have their pride reinstilled in them. I think they're not the problem. The problem was the leadership that made serious mistakes in how they handled their budget issues and negotiations with the unions.
Do you think that Mayor Jerry Sanders, who has endorsed you, has done a good job handling the unions?
I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. I think Mayor Sanders has worked very hard with the unions, and the unions have made great concessions with him. And I think much of the fiscal reform has happened while he's been mayor. But there's, as I said, much more to do. And I think we have to work with the employees. I very much, since I have 1,000 employees, I very much value our employees as part of the team. And when you work with employees and you provide them the tools that they need and the support that they need, then they provide a good service. And I think our employees in the city really need to be authorized to and empowered to do the right things and to reinstill in them the pride of public service, which those of us that choose public service is the reason that we were attracted to it.
You have been in San Diego for about 40 years, not all of that as an elected official, but being here that long, certainly there's some baggage that you collect. I mean, there are people out there who are not happy with certain decisions you have made. Are you prepared to, do you think that hurts you going into the election, or do you think that's just sort of the cost of being around for as long as you have?
I think what my 40 years of experience here shows you is that I have a proven track record of doing the right thing and not trying to please people. As a leader, I think the most important thing you can do is look at the information, make a decision, and even be willing to change that decision if you gather more information and evidence to support that. So I think that with every decision as the district attorney I make, especially as a judge as well, there are two sides in every courtroom, and usually one side wins and one side doesn't. So I think that there are those who haven't liked some of the decisions that I've made, and for every person that didn't like it, there were many people that did like it. So I'm happy to be held accountable as an elected official and as the district attorney.
I have to ask you your views on a Charger Stadium. I mean, it's certainly the next mayor is going to be the one that's really going to be dealing with it. I was reading on your website that you talked a little bit about the UT proposal and that you said it's something that should be considered.
I think all ideas should be looked at. I've supported the current convention center proposal, and that is, very far along in its process. And I think it'll bring jobs and help our economy tremendously. But there's still steps that need to be taken. And if it fails, then we need to look at other alternatives. And I think the UT has made a bold proposal, one that's added to the discussion, I think, and we should look at all the different possibilities because they've talked about financing, they've talked about different ways to approach it. I very much support the idea of an sports entertainment center that doesn't just have, football games, but so long as the taxpayer's not holding the bag, as long as there are no additional taxes and vital services are not impacted.
Okay. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Let me just think for a
Yeah,
second.
please.
I can't remember, did you ask about the pension reform initiative?
Oh, we sort of touched on it. So yeah, you are supporting the pension reform initiative. Why is that something you felt would be good to support?
Well, I think we need the pension reform, and the initiative is a large step forward. It will save between $1 and $2 billion. Our pensions right now are unaffordable, unsustainable. We have got to do something about that. If we don't, we cannot reach fiscal stability. So I support it, but the important part is the implementation. You need someone that has a history of implementing, that can get real results and save real money, and that's why my experience matters.
What was I going to ask you? It just flew out of my head.
That happens to me.
I know. I'm like, so, and then, forgive me, you have said you would donate, is it your pension or your salary?
My salary.
Okay.
I am donating the mayor's salary to education programs, which is at the core of what I think is really important that I can do, as well as I have said from the beginning, I don't intend to enter into the pension system of the city.
The mayor, Sanders, says he solved the structural budget deficit in San Diego, but one of the ways he did that was to cut back on library hours, park hours, and as long as we maintain those cuts, the budget will be solved. Is that something you agree with, or would you want to make further changes so that we can restore those hours and still have a balanced budget?
Well, I intend to reorganize the city and to look at ways to be more efficient and effective. And one of the ways to do that is something we did at the district attorney's office, which is a process improvement team, which does a top to bottom analysis of how we do business. And in the case of the city, I would bring in industry or those who use city services to be a part of that. And by virtue of looking at leveraging technology, I think we can save money there. I think we also have to manage competition. Competition is another way to save money because the employees often win, but they look for ways to cut back and to be more efficient and effective. And we also have to look at outsourcing to see what government services can be done by private industry and save us money as well. So that will save. If we fix our infrastructure with the infrastructure dollars we have, I think that will help us save as well. And I do want to address critical services like police, fire, libraries, and recreation, because I know how vital those library and recreation services are, again, to our children. And in order to make sure that they don't wind up in trouble, we need to address those issues. So those are very high priorities that I would look at trying to, fully restore.
Great. Okay.
I think the one thing I did want to add was I think my difference in experience, I think we've talked about it a little bit, but I think the skill set of a legislator is different. Legislators have ideas and do not have to be responsible for those ideas, for the implementation of those ideas. You can have all the ideas and plans, but unless you can implement them, then they're not helpful. And I have a proven track record of implementation, a proven track record of innovation, and a proven track record of collaboration and consensus building.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.